Hello and welcome to the reaction to Spyfall Part 2. If you haven't seen my reaction to Spyfall Part 1, go check that out. That should be on the channel, because obviously this is a two-part story. So yeah, and also Patreon and Twitter links will be in the description as well. So, now, with Part 1, if you all saw the reaction, then you'll know that I was somewhat lukewarm on that episode, mainly because I didn't enjoy a lot of the dialogue. I found the production to be very deadpan, and there's just a bunch of little things here and there that I wasn't into, though I will say there were some really interesting concepts and ideas and visuals that I was interested in. And of course, as we all know, at the end of the episode, the Master returned. So I think this episode, Part 2, does have some potential. However, as it always is with Chibnall episodes, I do have my concerns and worries. I have my predictions of things that I'm probably not going to enjoy, again, considering how consistent Chibnall tends to be with his writing. So, yeah, I don't know. I am a little bit worried. But at the same time, I am interested in some of the things about this story, like the things that have been set up, and the Master, obviously, and I'm really interested to see where this goes. But I would also say don't expect me to instantly love it if it's a good story, because just based on how Part 1 went, I'm still feeling a lot of the issues with the production style and the tone of this show that I was feeling in Series 11. But who knows? Anything could happen in Doctor Who, so let's begin Spyfall Part 2 and find out what it's all about. Oh yeah, I do like the abstract little prison that Yaz and the Doctor went into as well. I do like that little thing. Very interested to see where Sasha's Master goes. Alright, here we go. I'll definitely say there is more energy to Chibnall in this series than the last one, but that doesn't necessarily make the stories better or worse. I am noticing that there is a little bit maybe more energy in the story though, but we'll see what happens. Spyfall Part 2. Oh, I like that.
Could be inside something. Oh, I hope it's not a liver. I hate being inside livers. People always get so offended. What are you doing in my liver again? Hello?
Comedy's still bad, just like last week. What's going on here?
Now, pay attention. Do this fast. I'm worried you might lose me.
It's like the scene from Blink. What the hell? It's very interesting. It's not the start I thought we would get from this episode, but it's interesting. It's one thing that I will say about Chibnall's episodes and like his style is he makes the show feel incidental in the sense that there's not a lot of like, it's not very telegraphed, you know? I mean, there are parts of it that are, but it's not telegraphed in the sense that things don't happen in the sense that, like, you know, if you were performing on a theatre stage, you would be setting up events that would cause the audience to react to events, right? Davies Era does this quite a bit. With his episodes, it almost feels like it's playing out like more like a realistic drama. It's interesting. It's a really strange way to do the show. And I think some points when the writing is good and the dialogue is good and the acting is good, it can work. But I find that Chibnall's... he's maybe not strong enough to pull this off. I suppose we'll see, because obviously this scene that we just got had Sasha and Lenny in it, and I really think they're good actors. So, yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes and how they do it. Yeah, there's something really intriguing about how different this feels to every other kind of Doctor Who we've ever had before. It's very interesting to have this take on the show. I just hope that whilst he's experimenting with making Doctor Who a much more realistic drama, that he can pull together a story with good dialogue and good characters, and you know what I mean? Because it's all great to try something new, but you have to execute it well. And I think this is a problem with Chibnall, is that he has this idea of making Doctor Who into this realistic drama, but he has to execute it at a level that can excite an audience. And I think, for me, I'm really desperately wanting him to just pull it out of the hat, Even though I do appreciate his sort of idea of making the show into something that we've never seen before, I really want him to pull through. And I just haven't gotten that yet, but I think there is potential. So we will see where it goes. But yeah, I'm just really not sure if I can trust him, to be honest.
Notes.
Travel through time.
Steam.
Shall cower in fear as my steam gun fires 1,000 bearings per minute.
See the mouse survive inside our revolutionary diving bell.
Touch them as repelled with force.
What?
Miss Gordon, are you recovered?
I am, thank you.
I'm getting Crimson Horror vibes from this.
Madam, this gallery is full of the
Possibly a bit of King James too.
Apparating man! Lady! Apparating lady! Every time!
Cringe.
Hold on in there, fam.
Don't like that word. Fam.
Ladies and gentlemen, see the incredible shrinking device. Want to be smaller, ladies? You can! Go. The happy couple.
I said go!
Whoa.
Hands on hands!
Let them go. Then you can have me.
Kneel, or they all die. By the way, I bring news from home.
Down, Doctor!
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Sorry I'm not reacting, but I was quite captivated by that scene.
You thought I'd go on?
Yes? Hello? It's me. Listen, don't listen to anything you hear. Ryan!
Did you not hear him? We have to go, Doc.
It's like the sound of drums.
Tis the Silver Lady. A revolutionary piece of engineering.
That looks like the room from The Woman Who Lived. Okay, that's a lot to take in. The Master is great, I think. I think I've decided that now. But he's not in charge, so he's working with the villains, it seems. And then there was a whole bunch of exposition about spies through time. It's quite overwhelming, I have to say. I may need to have some time to think about this stuff, but we'll see. We will definitely see. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit baffled at the moment. I need to really let it process, so sorry if I'm not reacting enough. It certainly has got me thinking, though. Like, this got so many questions to answer.
To be fair, I didn't read the instruction on those either.
Donut.
Donut?
Yeah, the pair of you want a couple of donuts. But
Dialogue exchange, wooden, cringe. Not very well constructed. Too. Yeah. Just not very charming at all.
Inside, quick. We're not safe out here.
World War Two. Ah. The Master. thing I need to know, I want to know is like, how does this connect to the Doctor Falls? Because I think that's the biggest thing I'm having right now, is I need to know where this master relates in terms of when we last saw the master. It's almost like the character development's all backwards. There's a lot of them. Oh, I like that shot. I like that shot. That's good cinematography. Oh. Oh.
I never use Facebook unless forced.
Ah. What the hell? He's doing it to his mother or something? That's pretty fucked up. He's intimidating, but he's also anxious. It's interesting.
We dropped behind enemy lines. Very nice to meet you. I'm not where I wanted to be, but I can work with this. Ada, wait till you hear about Nor.
She's just very annoying, let's be honest. Just a very annoying character, the Doctor is. You don't want that at all.
Don't make me do the old soft shoe shuffle.
God, the humor in this is so bad. It's like a deadly serious story, and they're like telling jokes, and they're not even funny. Oh no! Stop it, Chibnall. Why do you have to ruin your stuff? Oh god, when it's not humorous, it's dull, and when it is humorous, it's cringe. Fuck's sake. So there's been a lot of exposition, a lot of dialogue, a lot of bad jokes. There's some interesting little bits, but I don't know. I'm not convinced yet. The only parts that I'm really enjoying are the bits of the Master, but that's about it, really, I think. Just because of how brilliant the actor is, and he's quite cruel, but I just don't grab anything from these fucking episodes. They're just so It's very irritating. Just wish that I could just enjoy what I'm watching. Oh, the drums.
The rhythm of two hearts.
I thought they got rid of the drums. Maybe it's a Master before Missy. Or before John Sim, or something like that. Alright, we're going to get a scene with the Doctor and the Master. This is the point where we need to start getting some depth to her character. It's been long enough. There's one character that can probably pull it out of her. It's him. More exposition. Great.
When did you last go home?
What do you mean?
I took a trip home. To Gallifrey, hiding in its little pulverized, burned, nuked, all of the above. Someone destroyed it.
You're lying.
You should really take a look. I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Can we talk about this? You've always struck me as such reasonable people.
Gallifrey's been destroyed, says the Master, but he could be lying. Just don't want to think about Hellbent. It's a very strange story. It just seems to be treading water for the whole thing. It's very odd.
I know you think I'm mad, but give me 5 minutes and you'll think I'm the sanest person alive. Okay, that was an overstatement. I said the...
Funny. Oh, Jodie, you're so quirky.
Games.
This reminds me of like either Steve Jobs or Iron Man. Like Iron Man in Civil War.
You have 3 minutes to prepare.
Oh, a countdown.
Prepare for
Nice. Thanks, Chibnall. Not like we've ever seen that before. Fantastic. I'm scared now because I feel like this story only has a few minutes left. And I don't know what's going to happen now. And I'm quite afraid that all of this build-up is just going to be neutered by the ending. We'll see what happens, but this has been very bogged down in exposition, and now it's going to be the last stage of it. So, we'll see.
If it ever detected the massing of a Kasavan army within its systems, total shutdown.
You're gonna have to explain yourself to them, Doctor. Barton and those creatures do the dirty work, and once they're done, I get rid of them, having destroyed your precious human race in the process. Win, win, win.
Yeah, that's vital. Corridors are designed to be incredibly robust.
Timey-wimey.
You should really take a look.
Ooh. 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 Are we going to Gallifrey? Are we going to Gallifrey? Please. Tell me, are we? Come on! It's all burned!
When I said someone did that, obviously I meant I did. I had to make them. Do you see?
Ooh. Interesting. Okay, so the way I feel about this, I'm not a big fan of this episode overall. I didn't really like how the plot was resolved in the main story. It was interesting having the time travel thing happen, but I felt like this episode had too much exposition and the resolution wasn't satisfying. That part I didn't like. Not a big fan of this episode. Don't like all the exposition. Don't think a lot of the scenes were executed well. Don't like the dialogue. Don't like the humor. I don't think the plot resolved itself in a way that's satisfying. The master scenes, there was some good stuff in there, but I think that the overall plot, just the main side of it, was just not satisfying for me. And yeah, I just didn't pay off the story the way I would want it to. However, the epilogue to this story, to do with Gallifrey, now that's interesting. That is some really interesting stuff. The fact that the Master burned Gallifrey, you know, talking about how everything's a lie, how there's the timeless child again. That stuff is interesting. And I hope that we get a bit more of that stuff when we get to, you know, later on in the series. But I will say I did actually quite... I was very intrigued by that epilogue at the very end of the story. I just think that the main plot just not for me. So I actually am quite mixed on this episode overall now. Don't really know what to make of it, because I didn't like most of it, but then the end part was interesting. So I will have to give this some thought. I'm sure that by the end of the series I'll have a better idea of what I think. I may be more positive or more negative depending on where things go. But yeah, in terms of overall story, things are starting to pick up now. I think the Master has brought something quite interesting to the series, but I think Spyfall as an overall story just isn't for me. It's not something that I particularly enjoyed, and I think this second part was quite disappointing just for the main plot. So yeah, but yeah, I'm sure I will have more to say in the review. So